was another quiet night at the office. No phone calls, no messages, nothing but junk mail and overdue bills to keep me company. Seems nobody wants to hire a real private dick anymore, a professional like me. A guy who does the detective work nobody else wants to do. A guy who wears hats and walks around in a black and white world. I began contemplating a more profitable line of work, like politics.
We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to you.
All right, folks, good afternoon and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN Radio Central. You can join the conversation for the next hour at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. That will get you into the studio for two-way talk and conversation. And our text line is running at 617-297-8388, 617-297-8388. Now that appears on a screen here in the studio in real time. We try to work it into the conversation. We are streaming on the TuneIn app like thousands of other stations. So if you have the TuneIn app, great. If not, seconds to download it. Punch in WCRN. You're going to see our cool logo. And then just click it. We know you're there. And then we're easy to find. And I do stream the show from the studios today, from the Cameo studios. So the Cameo Cam is on. So you can do that on the station's Facebook page, YouTube channel. You can also do it on my social media platforms at Joe Mangi Show, M-A-N-G-I, Joe Mangi Show. That would be X and Facebook and Twitch TV and LinkedIn profile and Rumble. So many ways to listen, many ways to watch. And it's turned into a podcast when we're done, not just on the replay link on WCRNradio.com, but subscribe wherever you get your podcasts like Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, etc. You know the drill there. Today, back at HQ, flying the board behind the glass. So he'll get you set up and into the studio for two-way talk and conversation. All right, we have a lot to talk about today. Obviously, I'm sure you heard by now, the ICE facility in Dallas, Texas, about 6:40 their time, 7:40 our time. A gunman opened fire, and not just on ICE, but the detainees. I'm not sure if it's clear as to whether or not they realized detainees were there or they were in the line of fire or they were just going after the ICE agents. But this is getting way out of control. You realize ICE is a law enforcement branch. It's not secret police. These politicians who are referring to them disappearing people, that verbiage is just unacceptable. Disappearing people, secret police. This is rhetoric that is just unacceptable. Now, they opened fire on the ICE agents and the detainees in the Sallyport processing area. Now, Sallyport, if you don't know what that is, it actually goes way back to Masonic times, right? And it would be castles. When castles were built, they would build a secret, what they called the Sally door, in these castles. And the Knights Templars could get in and out of the castle unobserved, and your enemies wouldn't know where this was. But if you lowered the drawbridge and you made a big deal about coming out of the castle, the fortified fortress that you were in, they could see that. So a Sally door or Sallyport was a secret, something where they wouldn't know where it was. If you could find where it was, you could actually get into the castle. But anyway, it's held over today. So the Sallyport is that area where they can, the law enforcement people can enter and exit their facility without being in the sight of people. So since this is still developing, we don't have all the details. Was it a sniper on a roof? It could be somebody from a doorway that was in line of sight of the building. But they shot into this U.S. Immigration Custom Enforcement field office in Dallas, Texas. Now, according to authorities, 3 people were shot. And they all are believed to be detainees. So ICE agent wasn't hit. ICE agent wasn't hurt, from what I can find out so far. But the detainees, 3 of them were. 2 died. 1 is hospitalized. Now, the shooter was located in an adjacent elevated position, maybe a rooftop. They haven't narrowed it down. Maybe they have since I've come into the studio. I don't know. And then the shooter died by self-inflicted gunshot wound. So no ICE agents or law enforcement officers reported injured. Investigators recovered ammunition engraved, inscribed with anti-ICE things on it. So, of course, that suggests politically motivated attack. And where do they get that idea from? It's the rhetoric. So the Gavin Newsoms and the Omars and AOCs and every one of them, especially those who are members of Congress, the body that created ICE, the body that makes the laws, who say these ridiculous, ludicrous, and quite frankly, ignorant, stupid things about ICE or any other federal agency. What is wrong with you? What is your malfunction? So this incident is being treated as targeted violence, of course. And this marks, to some reports, the third attack on Department of Homeland Security and ICE facilities in Texas in recent months. So this is going on. If we look back over this stuff that we've had, right? We had this going on today in Florida, right? The ICE officer during a traffic stop to evade getting arrested, reversing, hitting the ICE officer in the leg, almost crushing him. Then he crashed into multiple ICE vehicles. Then, increased assaults and threats across the board on ICE agents and DHS. It's unacceptable. Ideologically driven attack on a United States federal agency, duly authorized, duly empowered, but because of certain politicians and activists who are just spewing this rhetoric, it is putting them in danger. Now, Gavin Newsom does this dog and pony show the other day about the bill that he's signing about law enforcement can't cover their face. First of all, it's ridiculous. It doesn't go into effect for a few months. Let's put a pin in that. You don't have authority over a federal agency, Gavin Newsom, none whatsoever. You can't tell a federal agency how to operate or what their policies are. So this law, this bill that you signed about can't covering your face has absolutely no bearing on an ICE agent. None whatsoever, by the way. Absolutely none. So that little presser that you did is just all gearing up for your run for the presidency and trying to satisfy the whack job lefts of the base in California. It does nothing. It means nothing to them. And the fact that you would even say, what are you hiding? This is why. Because people that you and your fellow Democrats have absolutely ginned up with this rhetoric, and people who aren't clearly stable thinking that ICE is in fact some kind of unauthorized secret police or fascist organization or some other thing. Because what they've done is they've taken their pictures and they've followed them home. They've gone on the internet to be super sleuthers and found their phone numbers and addresses or following their home. And then they post it, they dox them. And now these ICE agents and their families are in danger. ICE agents have relocated their family. Christine Holman, a lot of Homeland Security and ICE officials have been moved to government housing on military bases because of what you've done. That is disgusting. 508-871-7000 and join the conversation. Let me jump to the phone right now. Mark is waiting patiently. Hey, Mark, what say you? I don't hear Mark if he's on, Ted. 508-871-7000. Mark?
Hello.
All right. Oh, you're there. All right, go ahead, man.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. So, looks like another kamikaze shooter, huh? Kamikaze. Fanatic.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be pretty fanatical. You know, most of these guys, they either seem to suicide by cop or they cap themselves. They kill themselves. Another kamikaze.
Yeah. With again, Mark, they're etching things in the bullet shells.
Yeah, I saw it on the TV. The clip. It was a 5-round clip, looked like a 385-round clip, unfired. In other words, the bullets are still in the clip, and you can see it in indelible ink on the, I think it's a 380. It's a pretty substantial trajectory casing, and written on it is anti-ice stuff in indelible markers.
Yeah.
Just show it on TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to end with this. You got Homeland Security, you got FBI, you got God knows how many alphabet soup, cops watching the cops. The third time, a guy apparently takes a shot from an elevated position, whether it be at a roof or whatever, at either a political candidate or a ICE, in this case, facility. Third time this has happened. Where the hell is the security forces here? You and I, if you gave us carte blanche, all right? Here's carte blanche. Get what you need. We want to secure these rules. We could do it. You and I.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had the money to do it. If we had carte blanche to spend the money that we needed to do it. Yes.
Mark, with the amount of money that's floating around out there, my company, I have a security company. We have a complete Templar Knights division that does protection for a fraction of the money that they're spending around. My agency could secure these people. It is ridiculous that the money that's available and stuff like this is happening. Quick final thought, because we're against the clock.
What I just said about these various agencies, and then I pointed out the third time in a row, not in a row, or in recent, from a roof, the same MO.
Got it, Mark. We got to hold you there. We'll be back in 2 minutes, 2 seconds, folks. Stick with us.
Looking for a fuel and food stop that truly stands out? Experience the Yatco difference. At Yatco, we're dedicated to bringing you the best customer service, the highest quality products, and a commitment to making your life on the go easier. Yatco has 15 convenient locations across central Massachusetts, and now our newest spot at 75 Quonsigamut Ave in Worcester. Yatco, where every stop keeps you going.
This is Jerry Doherty, host of Making Money Last, right here on WCRN. Like all business owners, I'm interested in why people choose to work with Boston Independence Group. So I asked my clients. The most common response, Jerry does not try to be all things to all people. Boston Independence Group is specialized, focused solely on retirement planning. My customers enjoy the difference. We do one thing, and we do it exceptionally well. Help other people live better in retirement. That's it. If you're ready to retire or making plans to retire, we can do for you what we've done for hundreds of other retirees throughout New England. Live better in retirement. Just give me a call. I'll show you how. My toll-free number is 877-772-1776. Again, that number is 877-772-1776. And you can visit us on the web at bostonindependencegroup.com. bostonindependencegroup.com.
Hi, I'm Lee Gaudette of the Gaudette Insurance Agency, a third-generation family business based in Whitensville with branch office locations in Grafton, Shrewsbury, Westboro, and Southborough. We are a full-service independent agency offering all aspects of insurance to businesses, families, and individuals. We are in the peace of mind business. Call, click, or come in to see us at any of our locations for a free assessment of your insurance needs. Also, listen to Radio Central WCRN every Friday morning at 9:30 for the Gaudette Insurance Show.
All right, folks, welcome back here to the second segment on the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. Reminding you can join the conversation at 508-871-7000 for the time we have left together. 508-871-7000 and our text line at 617-297-8388. 617-297-8388. Text 733. Yes, different hat. The hat I'm wearing, if you're watching on the streaming, is I just got it. It's the U.S. 250th anniversary cap. I have a couple of them, a black one in gold, and this red and white one with blue fields as well.
You look marvelous.
Thank you very much. So that's it, 250th anniversary. Yeah, we're coming up on here. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. So attacks on federal law enforcement, they undermined the structure of sovereign enforcement of immigration law, border, immigration sovereignty. It's a duly authorized law enforcement agency. It really just grates when someone in an elected position, which by definition of the position they hold should know better than to use that verbiage of secret police disappearing people. In the Charlie Kirk style, give me an example of somebody who was unlawfully taken. Give me an example of somebody that just got disappeared, that there wasn't a record of where they were, that they didn't have a deportation order to leave. They didn't have some kind of indictment on a crime. In other words, they're just doing their jobs. This incident raises questions about the protection and security of ICE facilities. And this is one of those processing offices. So they have detention facilities. We're hearing a lot about those, right? Alligator, Alcatraz, and all this. But they have dozens, maybe hundreds of processing offices. And they're scattered all over the place because when they go out and they do this and look at what they've done in Massachusetts, hundreds of arrests here, and some of them pretty bad hombres. So these processing officers are where they initially take them to do what? Oh, yeah, that paperwork, the legal process of paperwork. They're not disappearing or kidnapping anyone. We know where they are, and we know why they were taken into custody. So they go to these processing offices, not detention centers. From that processing office, they'll maybe be there 72 hours. And then they're taken to detention centers, which would be the last stop before they board a deportation flight. So is there a security gap there? After all, there's a lot of them. And unlike detention centers, they're not really set up as fortresses. They're not really set up for a lot of security because detainees there are just there for a short time while they determine where they're going to be held. So maybe, and I'm pretty confident in saying this, that when these offices, the processing offices, were set up, they pretty much just went into commercial buildings, rented the space, set up the offices because it was an administrative type of office. Sure, they put some key codes or security locks and things of that nature, but I highly doubt that these places were set up with reinforced, walls and bulletproof glass and a lot of this stuff, because who at the time they rented this space, who thought that our own politicians were going to be ginning up these unstable people to go attack them? The government must respond firmly to preserve deterrence. Have to. They've got to come down on this. The guy killed himself. But it's got to be, and the people on the left who are ginning all these people up, so you got to knock it off. You got to condemn this action, and you got to say, this is unacceptable, and this is not what we're telling you to do. ICE is totally legit. Political violence cannot become a tactic tolerated in disputes over immigration policy. just cannot. These attacks risk chilling enforcement or diverting resources to protection rather than the mission that they have. This slippery slope, it hampers limited government functions. It really does. The trend of attacks and threats to ICE and DHS, to the sites, to the agents, to the directors and executives that run it is increasing. Repeat incidents demand a strategic assessment, and it demands it quickly. And this has got to be responded to. And the fact that the ammunition found near the shooter had the anti-ICE inscriptions, an explicit ideological marker here. Less than a month prior to this, on August 25th, a bomb threat was made at the same Dallas field office, ICE office, and the suspect claimed to have a bomb, a detonator, on his wrist. He was arrested and taken into custody without incident. Early in the year, right, there were back on July 4th, the ambush attack on an ICE detention center in Alvarado, that's Pearland, Texas, where the assailants used fireworks as a diversion and gunfire, causing, of course, the ICE agents to come out of the building to see what was going on. Now, that attack is under prosecution right now. The government has a constitutional and statutory duty to enforce immigration law. It's literally the law. And we have to protect federal personnel and maintain law and order. Attacks of this nature directly assault those obligations, folks. A failure to prosecute or respond decisively, that will risk setting a precedent that political violence is a permissible tactic, especially in immigration disputes. Now, prior legal framework on this, if you go to USC 18, subsection 111 and 115, assaults on federal officers, obstruction of government operations, or violence motivated by ideology are prosecutable as federal crimes. This scenario may invoke enhanced sentencing or terrorism designations. So from a security funding standpoint, ICE and DHS may have to seek additional resources for hardening their facilities, to up their surveillance. They literally have to start doing counter surveillance for their protection. They're going to have protective details for ICE agents or relocation of high-risk processing functions. Politically, the attack highlights the tension between enforcing the rule of law, immigration enforcement, and radical opposition that frames ICE as illegitimate. This is a narrative battle, and it cannot be lost. This is absolutely ridiculous. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. You know, while I was looking at these stories and listening to it, I went back and I looked at some of my notes because Trump has received such a large number of threats and attempted in modern day. Now, I remember the day Ronald Reagan was shot. I was I think I was either in high school or just out of high school. And I was at a buddy's house, and the brother came out to say that the president was shot. Now, my first thought was, okay, that tracks. And let me explain why. Because from Reagan, but prior to Reagan, if you look back, every president who was elected in a year with zero had been either shot or died in office. Just one of those quirky things in our history, right? John F. Kennedy, elected in 1960, then Ronald Reagan in 1980. But if you go back to 1920, so every president elected up until Reagan, after Reagan, it kind of broke. So when he was shot, my first thought was that little factoid I knew. And I said, well, okay, because Reagan was elected in 1980. And I said, that actually tracks. Of course, he made it. He lived. Bradley, I think it was Bradley was the part of the entourage that got the worst of it. I think the Bradley bill came from that, the anti-gun bill. Well, you look back at this, going all the way back to 2016. There were a lot of incidences. There was the Dayton, Ohio rally, where a man attempted to rush the stage during a rally, prompting Secret Service agents to have to intervene. In 2016, also, Las Vegas. A man threw a metal object at Trump during a rally. He was subdued by security. Also in Reno, Nevada, that incident, a man was tackled after rushing the stage at a rally. Then in 2017 in Washington, D.C., a man was arrested for attempting to climb a White House fence. 2018 in D.C., a man was arrested for attempting to climb the White House fence again. Then a man was arrested again in 2020, another trying to climb the White House fence. So there were two in 2022 and 2018. 2024, Coachella Rally, California. A man was arrested near a checkpoint at a Trump rally. He possessed 2 firearms, multiple passports with different names, and an unregistered vehicle with a fake license plate. Then, of course, we have 2024 Butler, Pennsylvania rally, when that assassination attempt occurred during the rally, and they shot him in the head in killing another man, Corey, the firefighter, protecting his wife and daughter. And then, of course, the Ruth. We just had in West Palm Beach, Florida, found guilty on all 5 charges, the assassination attempt at the golf course. He had a rifle aimed at Trump. He was apprehended before any harm was done, in the sense he didn't get to take a shot. In Sterling, Virginia, though, a member of the Trump National Golf Club inadvertently brought a loaded, and I don't know if this got any coverage, a loaded Glock handgun into the facility while Trump was present there at the club. The firearm passed through a manual bag inspection and a handheld magnetometer, the metal detector they run over your body. He still got this gun in unknowingly without being detected. The individual later self-reported the weapon to the security staff. And then we had the woman arrested for making violent threats against Trump. She had posted intent to sacrifice him, kill POTUS. She did that on social media. And then we got this United Nations thing. So we can talk about that when we come back on the other side that happened at the UN yesterday. But we got to take our mid-show break here. So stick with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes and 2 seconds, folks.
Time now for the forecast from the Boston Independence Group Weather Center. Call Jerry Doherty today at 877-772-1776. Retirement is within reach.
I'm meteorologist Vicki Graffin. Here's your latest Boston 25 weather on Radio 830 WCRN. After a damp and dreary day, we're still going to keep that shower chance around overnight. For your Thursday, plan on rain throughout a good portion of the day, possibly a rumble of thunder. Rain could be heavier at times. We're also looking at temperatures in the low 70s. The showers will be winding down into early Friday, and we're back to sunshine as we head into the weekend. I'm Vicki Graffin. You can hear Boston 25 live for the morning drive, weekdays on AM 830 WCRN.
Information central to your day from Radio Central, 830 WCRN.
We invite you to listen each weekend to the Voice of Truth broadcast with Pastor L.R. Shelton.
My friend, that is declaring yourself before God. You'll keep repeating over and over again what you are, what God has showed you.
That's the Voice of Truth broadcast each weekend on this station.
When you find yourself in a corner, you need someone who's got your back. Describe.ai is a natural language search engine that provides access to legal research when you need it the most. Powered by AI to help humans search more than 3 million judicial summaries in both English and Spanish. This app is completely free because access to justice is this company's why. Visit Describe.ai to find the case law that has your back. That's DESCRYBE.ai.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second half of the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, and you can join the conversation at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. Lines are open and available, and of course, you can text me in real time at 617-297-8388. When you do that, it appears on the screen here in the studio, and we take it from there. You know, something was pretty funny yesterday, right? Because see, usually a call between world leaders, they're very carefully choreographed, right? Everybody and their brother is listening, and a transcript is made. The event is reserved for talk of war and peace and things of that nature. But France's President Emmanuel Macron had to use his hotline yesterday to call President Trump to complain about New York traffic. So after giving the speech at the UN Nations General Assembly on Monday, I should say, Macron found himself stuck behind a police barricade while trying to reach the diplomatic mission in the city. And most regular folk would have just sat patiently and taken to social media to vent their frustration or whatever. But Macron put aside that process and any tensions over their dueling stances on Israel's war in Gaza, especially the Palestinian state. And he had to call President Trump. And there's, if you haven't seen it, go check it out on social media. He's in the street on his cell phone. You got New York's police saying you can't go. The president is over there. This is shut down. And you can listen to him calling Trump. And he says, "How are you? Guess what? I'm waiting in the street because everything is frozen for you." So pretty funny. But there was also the crap that happened at the UN. So when Trump went to the United Nations in New York, security sources raised concerns that certain disruptions, including communication breakdowns, delayed motorcade clearances, by the way, and then some unexplained malfunctions may have been deliberate acts of sabotage. So while officials have not confirmed the intent, some people are suggesting that the incidents reflect their incompetence within the security apparatus or politically motivated interference. So basically what happened, Donald Trump motorcade, clearances aren't, big problem there. He gets to the UN, they go to get on the escalator, just moves a little bit, and then it stops. Well, the First Lady and the President have stepped onto it. Okay. Now, that wouldn't be, it'd be, oh, okay. But if, for the fact on Sunday, staffers of the UN were tweeting and joking about turning off the escalator in the elevator when Trump got there, and then telling him they ran out of money. So, A, you can get hurt. I mean, if it does stop abruptly, you could trip you up and so forth. But then the teleprompter goes down. The microphone goes down. And you got to wonder, what is it, this fourth grade level pettiness? What is happening there?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that is of concern, because if they are allowing this, and remember the reason why, we ran out of money, Trump hasn't paid the last UN bill. We gave them, I think the last number I could find was 2023, $13 billion. $13 billion with a B. That's a lot of money. And I got to ask myself, the building's been bought and paid for years. So what is, and that's from just us. What do you need a budget for? You don't have an army, right? You're not doing humanitarian crap, right? You're not, as Trump pointed out in his speech, he stopped 7 wars and didn't get one phone call from the United Nations. As he said, your potential is so great and you don't live up to any of it, any of the potential. So forget all the other money. What the hell are you doing with the $13 billion? It doesn't take $13 billion to keep the lights on. Now, I know we wanted the UN in New York initially when the UN was created because we wanted to be the power structure there. I get that. But it's really just an opportunity for these diplomats to run amok in New York City whenever they have to come. So don't pay the bill. What are they going to do? Send their army against? No, they don't have an army. It's our army. NATO's army is the member nations who put our troops there. And just like he stopped funding to the World Health Organization because that was again, another sham controlled by China. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Let me go to the phones. Ken's waiting patiently. Hey, Ken, what say you?
There's really
Ken?
no reason.
Oh, there you are.
We're going to have this story daily or weekly. And
I didn't hear you when you first started, Ken. What did you say?
with what is happening in Dallas is,
yeah.
I don't know how we can't think this is going to happen on a daily and or weekly basis. That there are so many people in bubbles that refuse to listen to those on the other side at all. Just shut them out of your life. And have contempt for the other side and will resort to violence of the extremist part and make excuses for it. Either move on to another story, let's sweep that one under. And let's bring Jimmy back because after all, he has a diverse audience. No, he only invites people on the left. That's been the case the entire last 3 or 4 years. So
Ken, did you see Rob Reiner on Bill Maher?
No.
So Rob Reiner was on Bill Maher this past week or whatever, and he's saying nope, can't talk to Trump supporters at all. Won't talk to them. And Bill Maher's saying you have to talk. Nope. If you can't agree that 2 + 2 is 4 and 2 + 2 could be 5, and this you can't talk to them. You got to agree with something to talk. And Bill Maher's saying no, you don't. You have to talk to these people. You can't be in this bubble. He was so pig-headed. I mean, he was meathead. What can I tell you? He was meathead from All in the Family, big time.
But Joe, there's even worse. I don't know if you ever heard of the figure Destiny that has a podcast.
I've heard it, never watched it, listened to it. I've heard Destiny.
He's literally calling for murdering us all.
Murdering who?
All of us. Anybody
that doesn't agree with her.
Yep, you got it.
Now, I big free speech guys, big free speech First Amendment guy here, but there is a point that you cross the line when you call for murder and outright violence. You need to be talked to. They need to do an investigation, and maybe for inciting that violence, you should be charged. We have freedom of speech to the point that you call for this. I just don't believe you can do this. I don't think it's right. And I'm a big Second and First Amendment guy.
Except when it crosses the line, which this guy obviously has. And let's be serious. After an assassination, blame it. I mean, I've taken the words that Kimmel used a week ago and simply replaced Camelot and JFK. And no one could have imagined that 60 years ago.
Yeah.
And yet that's where we're at.
That is where we are at. Absolutely.
Totally insensitive and will not rationally think, which leads to violence. So the vote, it's 2 parts. A, you have media structures that will not listen to the other side, period, and shuts it down. And we know who they are. And I have my brother, I had no idea who Charlie Kirk was. You'd think he was totally out of the political picture. Oh, no, he keeps up with just on his side, though. And there are many callers to CRN who say, I know nothing about him, but I hate him.
Yeah.
And that's so dangerous. And maybe we're going to start locally. The city councilor who's obstructing justice on Eureka Street with ICE maybe shouldn't be reelected if you want any peace, because those are the people who are going to make war.
Right,
Joe,
because
I
they have no understanding of the decorum that's required. There's if the good people of a city or a town, like the good people of Worcester, who elect this person in her district, I don't know if she was citywide, I don't remember.
She has her
It's
own.
irrelevant. But those people who elected her, were you electing somebody to ignore the law, to break the law, to are you violating the social compact that you have with the people who elected you? Or did the people electing her want her to be this
She will
degenerate?
likely be reelected, Joe, from the way things are shaping up.
I'm sure.
Joe, the First Amendment is very clear on this subject. It uses the word peacefully to assemble.
Yeah, and that's great
So-
because remember, I think it was Don Lemon who in an interview, or no, it was Cuomo who said, literally, the guy said when he was still on CNN, it doesn't. Where does it say it's peaceful? The protests have to be peaceful. It's like literally in the Constitution, dude.
The language is absolutely clear, and riling people up and sending them out on the street to murder is not peaceful assembly.
Agreed. There's a crossing the line. Just like you can be a big Second Amendment supporter, but you don't support firing a weapon randomly at an innocent person. It's saying, I make the analogy in that absolutely Second Amendment carry for protection of life and property, and absolutely use your weapon to defend yourself in the event that you feel you're either threatened with life or bodily harm. Absolutely. Same thing. You have 100% free speech until you cross that line. Ken, final thoughts as we come to the clock?
Yeah, and for those who say it's all right-wing, the summer of love didn't go down as left-wing violence. That's how crooked those stats are.
Yeah, that's the media who continually rewrites history in real time. Really does. Thank you for the call, Ken. Appreciate it. All right, folks, 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Lines open and available for the third, actually, it'll be the fourth and final segment. We're going to have to take our third and final break here in just a moment, and then we'll take a break for 2 minutes, 2 seconds. We'll come back on the other side for fourth and final. Don't forget, you can watch the show on our Facebook and YouTube channel at WCRN, or on my social media at Joe Mangi Show. Stick with us. Life is full of changes. Some we choose, some we don't. But how we handle change, that makes all the difference. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, and I'm bringing you Handling Change, a brand new show here on WCRN. Every week, we'll tackle life's biggest challenges and profile a local business or service that can help you navigate them. From career shifts to health, finances, and family. Whatever life throws your way, we've got you covered. Don't miss Handling Change, Thursdays at 10 a.m. on Radio Central WCRN 830 a.m., where New England comes to talk.
Hi, I'm Dr. Eddie Arus from the Vascular Care Group with offices in Worcester and Sturbridge. I meet patients every week who tell me they've stopped doing the things they love, walking with friends, standing at their grandchild's soccer game, even going on vacation, all because of painful varicose veins, swelling, or fatigue in their legs. Now picture this, the same patients a few weeks after treatment, walking comfortably, smiling more, planning their next trip. That transformation is what drives me. We offer safe, minimally invasive outpatient treatments that get you back to life quickly. No overnight stay, no long downtime, just compassionate care and results that last. Because life's too short to sit on the sidelines when you could be living it fully. If vein problems are holding you back, let's change your story together. Call the Vascular Care Group or visit thevascularcaregroup.com to schedule your consultation. I'm Dr. Eddie Arus, and your next chapter starts with healthy legs.
WCRN Radio is thrilled to bring back a legendary voice, and now you can help tell the stories. Paul Harvey captivated millions with his unique style and unmistakable voice. By sponsoring the rest of the story, your brand can become a part of this rich tradition, and it links your business with a program that people love and trust. So don't miss this unique opportunity to grow your business while becoming part of something truly special. For sponsorship details, just go to WCRNradio.com.
All right, folks, welcome back for the fourth and final segment here on the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN Radio Central. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the American Thinker article. You can find them online. Antifa must be destroyed. So this article argues that Antifa represents a domestic terrorist network in the United States. Now, President Trump just designated them domestic terrorists. It says they're responsible for organized violence, political intimidation, targeted attacks against conservatives. It cites recent incidences, including protests at the funeral of Charlie Kirk, the assassination of Kirk, the prior nationwide Antifa activity during the Summer of Love 2020 riots. The piece emphasizes President Trump's efforts to classify Antifa as a terrorist organization and to target its funding networks. I think that's the key there. Got to go into the money. Always follow the money. Antifa is portrayed as an organization, or rather as an organized domestic threat, engaging in violence, intimidation, and harassment. And the left tries to say, it's not an organization. It's nothing. It doesn't have a headquarters. It's just right-wing propaganda. It doesn't really exist. But DOJ and FBI historically have ignored Antifa's paramilitary activity, under the Biden administration anyway. And funding of Antifa includes NGOs. I don't know how many times I've told you, you got to watch these NGOs. I was telling you about NGOs years ago. These non-government organizations. It's literally funneling tax dollars to places where there's no transparency and no accountability. And you've got these alleged Soros-backed organizations and potential state grants in Democratic-run states. Antifa's tactics include surveillance, encrypted communications, and paramilitary training. They are funded. They are trained. They operate with a certain level of professionalism there. And again, we're back to the question, and it raises the issues of free speech, law and order, protection of individuals in public spaces. Now, the Thinker article frames Antifa as a challenge to the rule of law and individual liberty, with societal and constitutional implications. But they use this military-style coordination with cryptic communications. They have scouts. They have street medics, right? We've seen the Antifa uniform. They're clad in the black with autonomy. They use projectiles, Molotov cocktails, pre-positioned supplies. We've seen the video. We've watched it. Where they use social media and messaging to coordinate this peaceful protest. And there's a U-Haul truck parked there the night before, loaded with frozen water bottles, cans of peas, bats, all kinds of things. Let's find out who rented the damn U-Haul truck. Who put all that stuff? Remember the guy, they did arrest him, who showed up handing out the masks, the gas masks, so the Antifa operatives wouldn't suffer from their own projectiles and things of what that they would use in. 2020 riots in cities like Portland, Minneapolis, Kenosha involved cross-state participants, right? And paid. They've uncovered that they've been paid. Coordinated attacks, and again, the pre-stocked weapons. So whatever the funding network is for this, DOJ is saying that they're looking at claims of over $80 million funneled through NGOs and philanthropic type of entities to support Antifa activities. Follow that money. I got to go back to I think it was Project Veritas video of the Biden official on the undercover tape talking about trying to get as much money out the door before Trump was sworn in. His term, his verbiage, I'm paraphrasing, but it was like throwing gold bars off the Titanic. Sounds kind of apropos because the Titanic was sinking and the Biden administration was sinking. But if they were able to funnel $80 million through NGOs and this philanthropic type of entities, doesn't that highlight possible gaps in monitoring domestic terrorism financing? We live with some really ridiculous rules now, right? On our bank accounts and opening accounts, even buying a house and all that. So what are the political ramifications? Trump's administration designated Antifa as a terrorist organization. So that's going to represent a challenge to domestic security policy. Of course, how do you enforce it? What are the enforcement priorities under current federal agencies? The federal government has authority to address domestic terrorism. Again, we're back to USC 18, subsection 230.31. You might have heard 2331 referenced in the past in the related statutes around that. The article frames Antifa's actions as violating those provisions. Now, the protest at Charlie Kirk's funeral and other high-profile conservative events demonstrate ongoing targeting of political opponents. So something has to be done on this front. I say always follow the money. Always follow the money, because it will give you some answers. Before we run out of time in this week's show, today's show, I should say, Jimmy Kimmel returned to ABC last night. Not all of ABC. Sinclair and Kenstar, whatever the other networks, they have like 70 or 80 affiliates. Largest owners of affiliates for ABC are still preempting them. They're not satisfied. I didn't watch Jimmy Kimmel live, but I know they were playing the clips today, and I didn't really pay attention to it. He didn't really apologize from what I saw, but he said, I didn't mean to do this, so I have to go back and watch it. Maybe you did. 508-871-7000 if you can fill us in on that. But what's interesting is Donald Trump, here we go. Trump has publicly threatened to sue ABC after they reinstated Kimmel, following that little brief suspension. And then you had, 400 Hollywood elites signed that open letter. So the suspension had come after the remarks about the assassination of Charlie Kirk, references to MAGA, lied, saying that the assassin was nothing but MAGA, and how Trump supporters are trying to tell the lies and spin it that it wasn't. You know what the deal is by now. Drew a lot of backlash from conservatives and pressure from the Trump administration. But ABC, of course, Disney. Now, Bob Iger, he's the one who suspended him. He's the one who brought him back. Let's put this, Trump has no control. If Trump had control, he wouldn't be back on the air. And I'm glad he's back on the air to prove that Trump has no say in this. And the fact that they're losing millions of dollars, same as Colbert, that he probably won't get the contract renewed. I think it's January. But Bob Iger, Disney, said it paused the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation. But then he reversed the course. And that is prompting Trump to accuse ABC of partisanship and illegal campaign contributions. Now, remember, he just got a $16 million paycheck from them over Steffi Stephanopoulos comments, right? So it's Nexstar. That's what it is. Nexstar and Sinclair, who are the biggest ABC affiliate owners, they're saying, hey, we're going to continue to preempt Kimmel's return on all of their stations. That will leave huge portions of the country without broadcast access. Now, the show will be on the network ABC Disney platforms. So Trump threatening litigation or regulatory retaliation against broadcasters does have a chilling effect on the free speech. But again, free speech isn't absolute. The First Amendment protects even harsh or controversial political speech. Of course it does. And what he said falls under free speech. Now, the fact that he lied, it goes to that misinformation. So the same people who are screaming that was suspended, not even canceled, are the people who wanted all conservative or Trump supporting platforms to be muted or removed for misinformation. Kimmel came out with an absolute straight up lie about who the assassin was, the double standard there and the hypocrisy. And then as an additional thing, Google finally admitted that they too were removing people for political speech they didn't like. Facebook admitted it. Elon Musk spent billions of dollars to prove that, make a point with Twitter becoming X. And Google has come around to say, yeah, we have too. And as a result of that, saying, hey, my bad, by the way, they are reinstating YouTube channels that were taken off for political speech, which I was one of them. I was deplatformed on YouTube several years ago because during COVID, because we were talking about the jab and what is a vaccine and all of that. And they took the Joe Mangiacotti YouTube channel off. And when I saw the news, I went on and clicked it. Instead of coming up, this has been suspended, my page came up. So they apparently reinstated it as part of their, my culpa, my bad. Interesting. I don't know. All right, folks, we're coming to the end of today's Wednesday's edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. Now, tomorrow, the Joe Mangiacotti Show will be here, but George Landreth, president of Frontiers of Freedom Institute out of D.C., will be filling in for me tomorrow at 1 o'clock, 1 to 2, for the Joe Mangiacotti Show guest host, George Landreth, tomorrow. And then on Saturday, Phil George will go an extra hour in the morning. And then Tom Donaldson will sit in for Mike Wade from 8 to 11 on Saturday morning, folks. So that will be some guest lineups. And don't forget that we do have Jill Doherty from CNN at Friday, 5 o'clock at the Hanover Theater. Go to Boston Independence Group if you'd like to register.
This is WCRN Worcester.